Assalamualaikum to everyone and greetings to all who are attending this rally. May I begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land we live in.
G'day, how are you?
Oh, very well, yourself.
I heard that good, thanks. I heard that there's a rally on today, so I thought I'll drop by and talk to people, see what this is all about.
Yeah.
Do you mind if I ask some questions?
Go ahead.
Yeah, so like, what are the objectives of this rally and what are you trying to achieve?
Well, to fight against the racism that exists in Australia, because I mean, you know, so many of these people are branded as being like horrible, as being terrorists just because of difference in skin or difference in accent.
Yeah.
You know, like, and it's abhorrent. Like, especially like if you look around us, we're in Dandenong, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, none of these wonderful shops, wonderful people, you know, they wouldn't be here because, you know, if it weren't for migrants, you know, like, we're very happy to be here. I love coming here, you know, it's the best.
Yeah, I mean, I come here all the time to Dandenong Market to shop myself as well. So yeah, definitely on board with being getting along with everybody and not making sure that we don't have rampant racism on the streets. But so when it comes to this rally specifically, like, what are the objectives? What are they trying to get out of today?
Well, mostly to fight against Pauline Hanson. Like, as everyone knows, that she's been rising in popularity, particularly amongst like Anglo-Australians, you know, as in the descendants of convicts, you know, and without any acknowledgement of the fact that they themselves came here. And I mean, you know, at least most of the people here, they came here legally. The white Australians certainly didn't.
Yeah, right.
You know, they killed everyone here. So, but yeah, like, the main objective is that we don't have this kind of, you know, extremely racist rhetoric, you know, not only against migrants but also against Aboriginal people. You know, if you look at a country like New Zealand, they, you know, Maori people, they're held in the highest respect, and here Aboriginal people are just treated like scum. It's disgusting, like, just, you know, how chalk and cheese it is, you know, like, yeah. So I'm rambling on a bit.
No, this is good. I mean, I've got a YouTube channel with 1 video and 15 subscribers, so I'm not really a big media personality, but I was just kind of curious to come down. Why do you think Pauline Hanson has been rising in popularity? Like, I'm a migrant myself. I've lived in Australia for 22 years, and a few people I know are voting for One Nation as well, and I'm curious, why do you think that is?
Well, I think that Pauline's been really good at using the fear of the Bondi shooting attacks in her favour. Like, it's almost like a sort of post 9/11 paranoia that we're experiencing again, you know, and the ugly truth of that paranoia is that it's led to so much, you know, hatred and like intolerance towards the Islamic community, to, well, just the Arab community as well. Like, you know, most people pin the blame on them, like, but yeah, put it this way, it was a very easy scapegoat, and it's been really useful for them to, you know, put fear into people, you know, make them fear their neighbours who are Muslim, you know, people who they otherwise wouldn't have thought of until like Pauline Hanson told them to hate them, you know.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair points. I'm just curious, again, I'm just a regular person, I live in this area as well, and I look around Europe and I look, you know, over the last 20, 30 years, how many terrorist attacks have occurred in Europe, and it's becoming sort of more and more frequent. And I'm curious, why do you think that is?
Well, for the most part, like, it is due to, like, how colonialism has been carried out, and
sorry, when you say colonialism, what do you mean exactly?
In the Middle East, like, how, well, I mean, like, after many wars, like, a lot of it was divided up between Britain, France, and all these countries, you know, divided into areas that, you know, meant nothing to the people that lived there, you know, and there's a lot of, you know, disgust for how that was carried out, you know, and I don't think it's fair to blame the, you know, modern day Europeans for that. They haven't done anything wrong, but we always know that this comes from somewhere, like, and there needs to be more acknowledgement of it, you know. Otherwise we wouldn't have had it, because, like, you know, Islamic terrorism was not a thing like before the 20th century. Like, Muslims would, just considered normal people. Like, yeah.
I mean, yeah, I do agree with some of what you said. Like, I've been reading up about history recently. I'm not a big history buff myself, but I'm trying to learn, And one thing that I came across is, again, I was sort of looking at the history of Islam and where did it all come from, what was Middle East before Islam was, and I came to a realization that, prior to, Islam, actually Middle East and a lot of the North African countries were actually predominantly Christian. And so it is the spread of Islam over 1400 years that pushed sort of in a lot of those countries. So, Syria, Jordan, Lebanon, those are all primarily Christian countries before. And with Islamic Jihad, you had that spreading all the way into Spain and France and Italy and Austria and Greece and Macedonia and so on and so forth. So I feel like...
But let's not forget all of the Christian expansionism that's happened all over the world as well. Let's not forget that. So.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. It's good to remember. I think colonialism is not the best thing, and I do find, but I do find, however, that there's a lot of conversation about Western colonialism, but there's not a lot of conversation about, say, Islamic colonialism, which I think is also, has been extremely damaging and resulted in huge amounts of people dying and being killed and slavery and things like that.
Yeah.
Would it be fair to say that all forms of colonialism, Western and non-Western, are bad?
Oh, 100%, yeah. Because I know about like the Arab slave trade that happened against the East Africans. Like, yeah, all kinds of colonialism are bad. But like, I suppose when you come to a country like Australia, generally the ethos is that it's we're not a Muslim country. We're meant to be a Christian or non-religious country. Like, most of the bigotry is aimed towards them. But I'm sure there's many countries in the Islamic world like Iran and such that that don't treat their religious minorities very well, including Christians, Zoroastrians, Baha'i, and all that. Yeah.
Man, it's been really good to talk to you. And this conversation isn't quite over unless you want it to be over, because you see a lot of clips like gotcha sort of journalism online. You kind of have the sort of opposing media personalities going to sort of the other side and sort of portraying other people in the worst possible light. So it's nice to just have a conversation with somebody with a pretty balanced viewpoint. So this is nice.
And I will say, like you said, you weren't a history buff. I'm glad you did your research on a lot of this stuff.
I did a small amount of research.
No, that's all right. Hey, it's good on you, man. Like, anything is good enough. Knowledge is our ally.
Yeah, I think so. Look, what I did come here sort of primarily is to talk to people about the Gaza-Israel sort of conflict. Not primarily, it's one of the things I wanted to discuss. And, full disclosure, I grew up in Melbourne. I had a few Muslim friends as well. And, I had good interactions and bad interactions with the Muslim community. And, when the 7th of October kicked off, I was actually quite alarmed at how much anti-Semitism, very open hate towards Jews I saw, and I lost friendships as well with some of the Muslims I know, because they basically said, that they can't even have conversation with somebody who has any sympathies for the Jews. It's a direct quote that I have. What do you think about, this kind of Islamophobia on one side, anti-Semitism on the other side? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, actually, well, yeah, I mean, put it this way, I live in Balaclava, which is a very Jewish area, and a lot of the people there have expressed their concerns about, like a lot of people do recognise the genocide there, they're not all denialists, but, they still do live in fear because of their, the country, Israel, that claims to represent them, has tarnished them in such a bad light, like with the Bondi shootings, it's not the fault of Australian Jews that a country on the other side of the world is committing war crimes,
I agree.
That's pretty much all.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point of view. I think part of my sort of problem is there's so much talk about sort of Islamophobia, which I think, all sorts of phobias are not great.
Oh, yeah.
And any sort of forms of racism should be condemned. This English is a second language here. Condemned. So we shouldn't be tolerating sort of racism. But I feel like, just from what I'm seeing in the media and stuff, you have a lot of, you had synagogues in Melbourne attacked. You had Jewish restaurants attacked. I saw videos where Jewish patrons were called baby killers and things like that, and I feel it's very unfair to hold people living in Australia on the other side of the world responsible for something that's happening on the other side of the world.
And put it this way, they may not always agree with what Israel does as well, and they definitely don't deserve it, and put it this way, I believe that a lot of the people in Israel are brainwashed into believing that, Arabs are like a different species. They're not. Israelis are not evil. They're not born like that. They're designed like that by the government.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, fair enough. And when people say, free Palestine, what does that mean? Because I'm actually confused. So, what does a free Palestine mean, and how do we get there? Okay, can you walk me through that?
Well, I can tell you what my personal belief is on it. As well, as obviously fact, but what's it called? Palestine, what exists of it right now is the West Bank and Gaza, and currently the latter is being bombed nearly to extinction. There's hardly any of it left, and now they're moving their way into the West Bank, even though, Israel already took over the vast majority of what was Palestine before 1948, and the Palestinians, that's all they've got left, and I think it's only fair that Israel leaves those territories alone to govern themselves. Wait, was there anything else you asked?
No, I mean, honestly, I'm kind of just enjoying the conversation. My sort of concern is, when I looked at October the 7th, I saw a lot of Australian Muslims celebrate that. Even scenes from Sydney Opera House where chants of gas and the Jews that I was really concerned sort of about. And I actually don't know how we get to a free Palestine if we sort of, October the 7th happened, right? I don't know.
But put it this way, the reason that an event like October 7th happened is because of the years of Israeli aggression that had been happening for at the time, 75 years, it didn't all start on that date. But, to hear about people celebrating October 7th, and you said about gassing the Jews is pretty disgusting, because my grandfather was also a Holocaust survivor, so that means a lot to me. But, but I'll tell you what, I'm glad that I've got a good selection of Muslim friends that, they don't care about what my heritage is, or or the friends that I have the fact that I have Jewish friends as well. So I'm glad I surround myself with a good community.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear. Thanks so much for your time. It's been a pleasure to talk to you. I'm going to shake your hand.
Yeah.
That's my cousin's name.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
nice to meet you. My cousin is back in Ukraine. I'm from Ukraine actually myself.
Oh, yes.
So
and Slavi Ukraine.
Yeah, thank you. My name is. So nice to meet you. I'll go see what other people can say, and enjoy your day.
100%.
Thanks so much.
Yours.
Thanks.
God bless.